Hello people and welcome back. I am Aaron and I'm here with another speed art. This one is of the Incredible Hulk. And instead of ranking his movies, since he only starred in like 2 major theatrical films as the lead, instead I'm going to rank each of his appearances, including ranking his look and how he's used in each film, and the way Banner is portrayed as well. I just released the animation on my main channel going through its evolution, so if you came from there, hello, and thanks for checking out the speed art channel. And if you're for some reason new to this channel and you want to check out the animation channel, check that out in the description. I'll have a link there. And before I get started, feel free to rank the Hulks below as you see fit. That way my opinion won't seep into yours and I can see where the general opinion lies with the big green guy. With that said, I'm going to stop the intro and just get right into my ranking from the worst to the first. Let's just Hulk jump right into it. So starting at the bottom of the list is going to be the 2003 Hulk and Banner. Now if I was going to rank the main Hulk films, this would actually be kind of more or less on the top of my list, I believe, because I feel this film has a lot to say and is actually pretty interesting and not just a rock'em sock'em beat 'em up with Hulk, but the way the Hulk actually looks is pretty bad. CGI just wasn't where it is today, so he almost doesn't quite fit in when he's on screen compared to the actual live shoot locations they used, and the shade of green they use is a little ridiculous looking. But with that said, I actually am a fan of how he grows larger the more angry he becomes. This Hulk also has the power to speak, at least in fragmented Hulk fashion, something the next Hulk on this list is lacking. And you can't talk about the Hulk without talking about the Banner equivalent, and Bruce Banner in this film is played by Eric Bana. Now I know it's not his fault, but I always felt like he was slightly miscast in this role. He doesn't come across as brilliant as the film would want you to believe, or as nerdy as the role needed to be. But with that said, I do think that scene to scene, he actually does a pretty good job. Especially when he's playing as the straight man against his more overacted father. The scene where his dad reveals his own powers to him is a great side-by-side comparison with the two characters. Now each Banner Hulk pairing is always trying to say something. The Hulk often represents the opposite of Bruce Banner in general, and this Banner is more or less represented by repressed emotions, and when hulked out represents like unlimited tantrum-like emotions. Something that I think works pretty well for the film dealing with his psychotic past. But overall this is a mixed bag because I actually like the film and feel it is underrated, but the central Hulk Banner protagonist is a little more than lacking, which I think hurts the film as a whole. Alrighty, so coming in at number 3 is the original Jolly Green Monster, Lou Ferrigno. Now there's something almost ridiculous looking about this portrayal, especially when looked at with modern eyes. But when looked at as a product of its time, this Hulk is used in near perfect fashion. He only appears for maybe 5 minutes per episode of the TV show, but you're always excited when he does. He almost has a Frankenstein type look with the atrocious looking wig and over exaggerated brow and of course green skin, which can be quite off-putting, but there's something very cool about actually seeing a person act on screen as opposed to the CGI renders that we're used to. Now Bruce Banner, who in the series is named David because the producers thought that Bruce wasn't a manly enough name or something, is played pretty competently by Bill Bixby, who truly puts his all into the role. Now I only watched the first half of the first season and the 3 TV movies which he directed 2 of, so I can't say if he ever really phoned it in for sure on like an episode here or there, but from what I saw he was putting his all into the role and doing a great job with it. He comes across as a pretty broken man but truly smart, something the previous Banner just couldn't quite pull off. So the Hulk Banner relationship in this series is really more of a Jekyll and Hyde situation where one is the weak human and one is the monstrous beast. But for a syndicated show in the 70s, they were able to pull this relatively simple concept off pretty well and not have it wear thin. He doesn't ever speak as the Hulk, but it probably would have been pretty cheesy watching this Hulk speak, so I think this is actually quite a benefit to the show. Now he does look slightly different than TV movies, but the overall look is pretty consistent, so I'm not going to bother with all that. And since most of you probably have never seen the TV movies, so I'm just going to go on to the next Hulk. So at number 2 on the list is the Edward Norton Hulk. Now if you're into looking at veiny bodybuilders lift up cars and box other veiny monsters in Toronto, posing as Harlem, then this is the Hulk for you. I don't think we'll ever see another Hulk in a live action film look nearly this grotesque again, which is both a good and a bad thing. While I love the later look of Hulk, there's something super menacing about this interpretation. If the Avengers had this Hulk on their team, I think Thanos may have thought twice about taking him on in a fight, but I fully understand that you can't quite sell as many toys with a Hulk so gross looking. And as for the way he acts, this Hulk says very few lines, and for the most part comes across as a giant rage monster, but is shown to have a softer side when he saves Betty from being burned alive. Now, on the other side of things, we have Edward Norton playing Bruce Banner. I'm a huge Edward Norton fan. I love him in American History X, Primal Fear, Moonrise Kingdom, and Fight Club. Unfortunately, I don't quite feel like he's bringing that type of determination to this role, and he comes across as pretty plain. Now, I don't think he's fully to blame. The script was a little one note, but a more charismatic lead could have brought this incarnation of the Hulk to the next level. As for the relationship between the Hulk and Banner, it plays off more or less like the 70s show, with the weak versus the strong. It doesn't have quite as much to say as the 2003 film from 5 years previous, but the look of the Hulk and the slightly better casting of Bruce Banner elevate this Hulk just above those previous entries. So coming in at number 1 is the Gorilla Man himself, the Avengers and Beyond Hulk. Now I'm going to go through and rank each one of his appearances in these MCU movies, but for the most part it seems Disney took a step back and said we gotta sell this Hulk to kids. So they softened his features, they no longer put him in as the lead because he's not profitable, but they made him probably the most interesting side character. And for what they were going for, they've succeeded pretty well. This Hulk is a lot of fun to watch on screen, and much like the original TV series, he doesn't quite overstay his welcome when transformed. This is also the first Hulk that looks like his Banner equivalent. That's mostly because CGI has caught up to what they want to achieve, with face capture and modeling being much more realistic looking. Mark Ruffalo himself does a great job in the role. I think he plays it with a certain charm the other Banners were missing, and is able to come off as both smart and occasionally witty when needed. So, hands down, this is the best overall Banner in my opinion. Now, his look as the Hulk has still changed and altered as the movies have gone on, so I'm going to go ahead and rank those appearances right now, kind of like a subcategory in this list. So coming in at number 4 for the Ruffalo Hulks is the Age of Ultron look. They took everything from the previous film and tried to exaggerate it and make him look more monstrous, which could be fine, but they already established his look pretty well perfectly in the first Avengers, and the slight alterations come across as basically unwarranted. I also heard that he had to break his jaw when animating to make certain expressions, which if you're an animator and have used 3D software before, you'll know that probably isn't the best way to handle animating a character rig, especially one as important as the Hulk. So coming in at number 3 on the Ruffalo list here, we have his appearance in Avengers Infinity War. Now this is slightly cheating since he barely appears and he looks the exact same as in Thor Ragnarok when he does, but I'm a pretty big fan of the big guy, so I was just hoping for a bit more than a minute-long action scene. But at least we got to see Bruce Banner take on the Hulkbuster armor, which is pretty sweet, and that's why this one is ranked above his Ultron appearance. And moving on to number 2, we have his original look in the first Avengers. Now this, as mentioned before, is pretty gorilla looking, but I think is a nice revamp overall, not quite as scary as the 2008 take, and looks a lot more like Mark Ruffalo as mentioned before. Plus with the scene between him and Loki, it's more or less worth it for the whole ticket to the movie, and has always been a favorite of mine and a lot of other Hulk fans. Now at number 1 is his appearance in Thor Ragnarok. When I first saw this film, I felt he was acting a little bit too much like a big child, but after sleeping on it and thinking, this is basically the only way to take the Hulk. He needs to be able to play off of the other characters so that he doesn't just grunt when in Hulk form, and that way we can actually develop a relationship with Hulk himself as well as Banner, which if they keep going in this direction could lead to an interesting solo movie in the future, fingers crossed. At least if Disney and Universal can come to agreement on who gets what rights and how much money they each get from it. But hopefully we'll see a solo movie with this Hulk in the future. Okay, so that's my rankings of the Hulks and their banners. Let me know where I got it wrong and your own thoughts on the series down below. And before I sign off, I want to thank my patrons. So thank you to Anthony Stamps, Karen DeMarche, Dead Meat, Colton Wood, Ethan Roshkim, Zoran Jovic, HB, Alex Holgan, Ross McIntyre, Q, Marie Suri, Adolfo Menezes, Reese Ward, Jeremy Lambert, Minkus Baby, Chris Hogan, Sam, David Warshaw, and Paul Kasak. So until the next time I post on this channel, I'm aiming for like every 2 weeks, but hey, what can you do? My name is Aaron and I'll tell you something later.